All right, Shalom. This is Howard 1 by Yasha Allah, the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem, Harakak Wadash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Hakim, and Agwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. All right, Shalom to y'all. Let me get into this. I have the wrong title on the screen. It says, the least among them shall draw them out. That's an old lesson I did. But the title of this lesson is Armageddon. In the Hebrew, that word is Armageddon, which means gathering of troops or mountain of troops. This is where the what they call proxy wars are going to lead to direct conflict over in the Middle East. Also over there is Ukraine with Russia. All right. Known as what? Armageddon, where the Lord is going to gather all the world's armies and where they're going to show their might in battle. Proxy battles, direct battles, leading into nuclear level of war. All right. And that's what we're witnessing right now as I'm speaking. So, Salaki, for the title on the screen, disregard that. But the title of this lesson is Armageddon. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. All right. And a sickle is a tool made for cutting, for trimming off, separation of what you want to keep and what you want to throw away. All right. So that's what a sickle is for, a cutting instrument for separation. So this right here is going to lead to World War III, according to prophecy. It's going to lead to the demise of Babylon. All right, Babylon the Great, mystery of Babylon. It's also going to lead to the judgment upon 2/3. That's why it says the harvest is ripe. And upon who? Esau. Judgment upon Esau. That's the wicked. They're part of that wicked harvest in Revelation, I think, 16. All right. So, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. See, we're at the end, and it's time for the harvest. Revelation 7. All right. So, everything is not focused on the wars. The focus is on the spiritual battle, the elect waking up. Once the harvest, the elect are woken up, and the wicked have reached their level of wickedness, that's when World War III is going to kick off, according to the Most High's, all right, the Most High Yahweh, according to His will. So let's get into this. I got this article I want to read. Just caught my attention. Let me see. Go here. Whoa, not that one. Go here. All right. So let's read it. It says NATO chief, and we know NATO is represented as the beast in Revelations. Also, you had a beast as a system, meaning the EU, NATO, and America. But ultimately, NATO is that predominant conglomerate that's spoken of in Revelations of the beast. All right. So NATO chief warns World War III will start with simultaneous invasions, man. All right. So World War III will start with simultaneous invasions. Let me get a scripture real quick because I got a few scriptures coming to mind. Let me pull these up. Let's go to Revelations 13 and 1. And it says here, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, meaning John the Revelator, in his vision, he was standing upon the earth. and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, meaning like a monster coming up out of the damn water, scaring everybody that's on the land. All right, or a system of wicked people that came together, or immoral people like a beast that came together and created a military um, organization. All right, for war. That's all NATO is. And saw a beast rise up out of the sea. So from amongst the people, they came together and created NATO. Those European nations, so Western European. All right, that's why Russia, the nations in the east, like China, Iran, they call America and its allies the West, which is also prophetic of the kings of the east. So having 7 heads and 10 horns, so having seven ruling countries, and then it had the 10 horns backing it, which was the EU. And upon his horns, 10 crowns. All right. So the original establishment with the EU is 27 nations. And upon his heads, the names of blasphemy. All right. That's all those damn elite bankers. All right. And that's what they play, the financing countries that um, set up NATO, and they manipulate other people's militaries to get involved in wars. Thus, you have America involved in everybody's wars. All right. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, just like Alexander the Creep, in 336 BC when he took over Greece, and he demised in around 315 BC. All right, took down the Persian Empire, 334 BC. So it was just like Alexander the Creep. That's what NATO is. It's a dominant military alliance with America as the spearhead general. And they were brought into World War II and dropped those nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and would set them as a damn monster to be feared on the earth. All right, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. The feet represents the end of a system or a person. All right, the feet. So the end of this beast is going to be Russia. That's Daniel chapter 2. The Lord shall take them at the feet, the time of the 10 toes. All right, the end of the system, and that's what this represents, showing us that we're at the end of that satanic system that's on this earth. That's what the statue of Nebuchadnezzar represented in Daniel chapter 2, a satanic system of rulers of kingdoms that was going to be on this earth. And the last one was going to be Esau. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. That's Britain. All right. The scriptures speak about Britain joining up with Rome for a short time. All right. That's the EU. They just had what, the Brexit, and the dragon gave him his power. So European Union gave NATO its financial backing and coupled it with America as the protector of it, the hammer, and his seat and great authority. Just through their policies, they established that in the earth. Look at that. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. So like that was the point. So yeah, because this chapter right here explains um Britain joining up too. But anyway, back to the point. It's spoken of in scripture that NATO was going to be the end of that system. You're going to start hearing about the bear, and that bear we know is symbolic for Russia. All right. Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. So the Gentiles are those foreign nations. Prepare war. So they all prepared for war. All right. On any level right now, they're prepared for war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. All right. So they're doing that. They're drawing near to the battle. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. That's what Russia and China have done. And China has rode the drift or the back of America for a long time, for decades, to become at the status they're at, even debase or basing, coupling their currency to the dollar, you know, going nuclear. Russia went nuclear. All right, now they're saying they're strong. The bear is coming out of hibernation. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathens. That's what they are. And gather yourselves together round about. So they're being gathered together. Together, bricks. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. See, that's when the Lord is going to send his angels down in these times. We're going to start hearing about angels pop chariots. You know, send down thy mighty ones. Ooh, man, Michael. You know, the angels. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And that goes into Second Ezra 13, when Yahweh Shai is going to go to war with all their military and their technology over there in Armageddon. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, meaning all their wickedness and time for judgment. The harvest is ripe, as I titled this lesson. For their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. All right. So let's get into this article. Let's read about what's going on over there. It says here, NATO chief warns World War III will start with simultaneous invasions, man, around the world. All right. Once China gets involved, that's basically World War III. Or once Iran gets involved in the war, you know, with Russia and going against the U.S. and its allies, that's World War III. All right. So either one. But it's going to happen according to prophecy. Let's go to get this real quick. Revelation 9 and 12. This is Revelation 9 and 12. It says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. So according to prophecy, this is going to happen. All right, one woe is past, which is World War One, right? 1914 and 1918. And then you have World War II, 1938 to about 1945, with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, when things changed to a nuclear age of battle, and the stage was set for Russia and America to be the contenders in this final war, all right, World War III. And now we're in the midst of World War III. All right, so that's right. So now let's go back to this article. And it says NATO chief Mark Rutte has warned that World War III will start with simultaneous invasions from Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. Combined attacks from the Chinese and Russian leaders could trigger a world war and bring the planet to the brink of what? Armageddon. Look at that. This is from the scriptures, man. This is prophecy. The prophecies are speaking. At the end, it shall speak and not lie. It shall be known that the Bible is true, no other book. All right. This is Revelations 20. Let me just read it from my phone. Revelations 20 and 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. All right. Who is that? Talking about Edom. You know, the Greek and Roman Empire after the fall of the Roman Empire. Um, and then it was reestablished from the 1200 to the 1400. Uh, uh, what's that? AD. All right. So now, and once those Romans, which you have the damn, what is that called? The Renaissance period, the rebuilding, the rebirth of the Western Roman Empire. They later, with that damn devil, what's his name, man? Caesar Borgia, you know, and the Edomite families that was ruling. All right. Uh, Came out and retook Constantinople, took the Western Roman Empire back, and later on established the slave trade. From the slave trade, those finances later on established banks here in America, and uh, um, later on the EU and NATO, right? NATO here in America, 1948 to like 1952. They established it in DC. So they're on the brink of Armageddon, and it's according to prophecy. And they've been loosed out of that low condition to go about the world and start these wars, man. All right, financiers of the wars called the Illuminati, and shall go out to deceive the nations. Say they're going out. We're witnessing the deception that happened. They're deceiving the nations into this war. So remember, NATO drew Russia into this war, and we witnessed it, and they were lying right in front of our face saying Russia started it. They're deceiving the nations into the war, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, and they're going to be called out of those quarters and brought into the middle of the battle. All right, Russia, China, Iran, um, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, so Russia and its allies, the old USSR nations and its, you know, and its allies today, China, Iran, Ezekiel 38, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So it's going to be an endless nations in this battle, endless number of soldiers that's going to lose their lives in this upcoming war. All right. It says, so yeah, the planet is on the brink of Armageddon. Armageddon leads directly into World War III. All right. The battle of all the world's armies. According to the military alliance's Secretary General, China would start by invading Taiwan while ensuring that the Kremlin dictator, allegedly, simultaneously attacks. Damn, boy, they try to force you to. That's their agenda, calling him a dictator. Like Trump's not a dictator. Simultaneously attacks NATO's territory. According to Mr. Root, whatever, right? It comes amid fears that Putin has set his sights on the Baltic republics of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which were formerly part of the USSR. What is that? That's Ezekiel 38. So the United, I think it's United Social Soviet Republic, all right, which was started by, well, the Soviet Union was started by the Red Army. All right, the military factions that were left over after the USSR decoupled. And those countries like Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, was that Kiev, Ukraine, Crimea, all these countries, Russian states over there were all part of Russia. They were all under the Kremlin. But now they've broken up. And, you had the fall of. Then they went to the Soviet Union, and then you had the fall of the Soviet Union later. All right, the Soviet Union were those was the Red Army, which was the military of Russia, and they decided to keep Russia together. Keep the heart of Russia as Russia, and they stuck together and created the Soviet Union. Meaning, all right, yeah, some countries left and sided with America, took their own sovereignty, like Ukraine, started their own languages and everything. But Russia was like, and the army, the Red Army, they stuck together and created the Soviet Union. And later on in 1991, through the alleged manipulation of the EU, and I forgot his name, man. I always forget his damn name. Not Klaus Schwab, but the other guy. Anyway, um, he's not really around in the on the internet as much as he used to be. But anyway, this guy, he was known as the destroyer of nations. He'd go around and finance um, downfalls of countries. And even today, they say that he's allegedly the financial backing behind BLM. All right, let me see. If I can find it. I can't remember his damn name. Yeah, it'll come to me. We'll move on. All right, so yeah, I can't remember his name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue though. All right, so now Russia is aiming to reestablish that old USSR. All right, so it comes amid fears that Putin has set his sights on the Baltic republics of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which were formerly part of the USSR. So he want those back. He want Putin want that old thing back, just like China wants to reclaim their old nations that left them, like Taiwan, you know, Japan, um, South Korea. So this is Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, prophesy against him, the land of Magog, against that land geographically, which would be today called the land of the Medes, or the land of Gog and Magog, but today is called Rush or Russia. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, um, and prophesy against him. All right. So prophesy against the ruling class over there in Eastern Eurasia, which would be Russia. That big land over there, man. And the central point and ruler of it, the chief prince would be the Kremlin, all right, Moscow. And say, Thus saith Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, meaning the Most High is going to challenge Russia and use them, all right, for his purpose. O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, or basically the Kremlin, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, meaning the Lord is going to take control of Russia's destiny. All right. Ultimately, the Lord has our destinies written out. But whatever Russia's plans were, for peace, excuse me, whatever Russia's plans were for peace, the Most High is going to um, take the helm and guide them into this war, lead them right into the war. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. So now the Lord has brought Russia forth like a bear, out of hibernation. He took control of them. The heart of the kings is in the hand of the Most High to turn it whithersoever He wills, right? And towards the Most High's will for the salvation of His people, right? So He's gonna put, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army. China's part of that army, horses and horsemen, right? All kind of fighters, you know, mighty men, riders of vehicles, and ground troops. All of them, and military and technology, robotic troops as well nowadays, drones, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor technology. Even a great company of bucklers and shields, all kind of missile defenses, and protection. All of them handling swords, so all of them gonna be able to handle the missiles. Bend it. All you that bend the bow, shoot at her. So all Russia and its allies are gonna have missiles, and all kind of technology and weapons. All right. So the Lord has what brought Russia forth and wants to bring back that old USSR. So He said, uh, I will turn thee back. So the Lord has turned Russia back to wanting that Soviet Union back together again. All right. And thus is going to lead them head on into a fight at the borders of Russia with NATO. So Mr. It says, it comes amid fears that Putin has set his sights on the Baltic republics of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which were formerly part of the USSR. That's prophecy, Ezekiel 38. The Lord is turning Russia back and is putting fears in the nations of the West. And Mr. Root told the New York Times, let's not be naive about this. If Xi Jinping would attack Taiwan, he would first make sure he makes a call to his very junior partner and all of this, Vladimir Putin. Somebody mad when they say your whole name. Whoever wrote this, boy, they mad at Putin and they call him a dictator. He got his whole name written up here. Residing in Moscow, and tell him, hey, I'm going to do this. They're saying this what Xi Jinping would say to Russia. Say, hey, I'm going to do this, and I need you to keep them busy in Europe by attacking NATO territory. Sheesh. That is most likely the way this will progress. To deter them, we need to do things. One is NATO collectively being so strong that the Russians will never do this. But Russia and the other nations are going to say they're stronger, according to prophecy. And second, working together with the Indo-Pacific, something President Donald Trump is very much promoting. That's Daniel chapter 2. They're going to try to mingle with the other nations, but it ain't going to happen. Mr. Root warned that Putin is rearming at a fast pace. He also insisted that Western countries should increase their spending on defense. All right, so build up the walls, build up the defenses. That's what the scriptures say. All right. We have an enormous geopolitical challenge on our hands, he said, and that is first of all Russia, which is reconstituting itself at a pace and a speed unparalleled in recent history. All right, so they've been brought back and they've been built back up at a speed that's that's unparalleled in recent history. Why? Because they're being pushed by the Most High, and the Lord is this is why right here. Let me show you. There you go. Matthew's 24 and 22. And except those days should be shortened. So the Lord is speeding up things. That's why things are moving so fast. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. World War III would destroy everybody. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. All right. And the days of our affliction shall be shortened. They are now proceeding 3 times as much ammunition in 3 months as the whole of NATO is doing in a year. So let the weak say I'm strong, man. That's what they're doing. Mr. Root stated that this is unsustainable, but added the Russians are working together with the North Koreans, with the Chinese and Iranians and mullahs in fighting this war of aggression in Ukraine. You see what they wrote. All right. Sheesh. So here, here the Indo-Pacific and your Atlantic are getting more and more interconnected. We know that China has its eye on Taiwan. So they got a lot of trigger points all over the world that could kick off World War III. We know, according to prophecy, Iran is going to be in the midst of that, and it could start off with China and Taiwan as well. It's crazy, man. So let me get that. This is Second Ezra 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. So food and raiment, people going into the stores buying their little 4th of July barbecue stuff, and thousands of fireworks, blowing themselves up, all kind of stuff. One guy blew his hand off. This guy named Four Extra. So they shall think themselves to be in good case here in America, right? And even then shall evils grow upon the earth. Sword, that's World War III, Armageddon, famine, that comes from war, and great confusion. All right. So that's right. This is Revelation 16 and 16. Let me get this real quick. This would seem like a good one. There you go. That's part of their conglomerate right there. Revelation 16 and 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, which means gathering of troops, mountain of troops. All right, because these I don't know what to call them, but they're not going to fight in the battle. They're going to send troops out there to lose their lives. They're just politicians, man. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, "It is done." All right, that's when nuclear fallout. And their voices and thunders, there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and that's judgment. And there was a great earthquake. That's when the missiles hit, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, so mighty an earthquake, and so great, because it's going to be from nuclear. Nothing's more powerful than that on the earth right now. And the great city was divided into three parts. So America is going to be divided into three spiritual uh, uh, levels of judgment. One class is going to be the sons of God, which is set up into the one third and two thirds. So there's going to be a division amongst that. The sons of God, which are the Israelites that are here, and then you have the sons of sons of the wicked, which are Esau. They have a judgment that are here in this land, and then you have the children of men, which would be any other foreign nations that are here. All right, they're going to be judged. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell. They all gonna fall. Gonna get in the war. And great Babylon came in remembrance before Yahweh to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So first, according to the book of Isaiah, this place Babylon is gonna have a destructive fall economically in disaster, according to prophecy. And then at the end of all of that, the icing on the cake, the climax is going to be ICBM missiles, which is really an instrument established by the Most High for his judgment. These are the nations, the fanners, that are going to scatter the enemies that the Lord raised up to destroy this land and scatter the people, which like chaff. All right. So this is Isaiah 14:9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. So as the West is trying to take over the world again and bring in a new world order, and they're going into the Middle East uh, to chop off the rulership of Iran and those Muslim countries, which is all according to prophecy. But these nations are standing up to meet the battle head on, the fight head on. It stirreth up the dead for thee. These represent the dead, spiritually dead. Even all the chief ones of the earth, they all raised up. Look at them poking their head out. That's how we know who they are. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So that's when you throw China in the midst. All right. So now, what's this one? All right. So yeah, I just read that. So now, I just read that one too. Well, I might be done. See if I can get one more. Look at Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. So the Lord is going to raise up these these this he's raising up this nuclear. I'm trying to watch what I say, but slaughter um, for the wicked. All right. So America and all its allies, Babylon and all of its allies, according to prophecy, and will send unto Babylon fanners or foreign nations or enemies that shall fan her. All right, they're going to what? Scatter this, basically destroy the land. So they raised up and chosen to do the job. All right, as according to prophecy, what's going to bring about the scattering of the chaff and and the separation of the wheat is going to be the missiles, and these are the ones chosen to do it by the Most High. And shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. All right, so they all coming together, and that's putting fear into NATO, which NATO was putting fear into the whole world, World War II. If you read the book of Revelations, all right, it tells you that they caused fire to come down on the site of the site of the EU, Europe, showing their might and their power and their dominance. and it put fear into the world, into these nations. But now these nations are coming together and they're starting to put fear into the West. All right. It says, against him that bendeth, let the archers bend his bow, and against him that lifteth up himself in his brigading or his defenses, and spare ye not her young. See, so this day is coming. World War III. NATO chief warns World War III will start with simultaneous invasions. All right, so it's not going to be a land for land direct war first. It's going to keep going as a proxy around the world. It's going to spread like wildfire, and ultimately, it's going to lead them up to the doorsteps of Babylon. Okay, so yeah, they said. Let me go back to this point. It says combined attacks from the Chinese leaders could trigger a world war and bring the planet to the brink of Armageddon, according to the Military Alliance's Secretary General. All right, so that's prophecy right there. And with that, I want to end this and say, Shalom.